Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely no one was supposed to see this coming. Now, for years, we were told that the story was settled, that shutting down the border would be inhumane, that deportations would lead to chaos, that crime would rise and housing would collapse and the economy would crack under the pressure. That was the narrative, repeated, reinforced, and never questioned. But now, here we are. Beginning of January 2026, and the data is doing something dangerous. Under President Donald J. Trump, the Department of Homeland Security confirms millions of illegal immigrants have left the country. And at the exact same time, crime is falling sharply. Housing prices are cooling, rents are easing, and for the first time in years, average Americans are breathing again. Then something even more shocking happens. The Department of Housing and Urban Development breaks script. HUD Secretary Scott Turner openly admits what was once taboo to say out loud. Unchecked illegal immigration did fuel the housing crisis. Now that admission right there alone collapses years of talking points. Now, tonight, we're going to go ahead and walk through the numbers, the timing, and the quiet reversals that no one in power expected you to notice, because when crime falls and housing gets cheaper and cheaper at the same time, this forces one very uncomfortable question. What if the narrative was wrong and reality just caught up? Folks, I really appreciate your support. Thanks for joining me tonight. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Let's start with the numbers that were never supposed to lead the conversation. According to the data from the Department of Homeland Security, between 2.5 and 3 million illegal aliens have left the United States in under a year. Not a decade, not over a presidential term, in less than 12 months under Donald J. Trump. Now, I don't know about you, but that number alone rewrites the entire border debate. I mean, look, for years, the public was told mass enforcement couldn't even happen, that removals at that scale were impossible, impractical, or morally unthinkable. Now, I'm not sure where you stand on this, but yet here we are. We're staring at the largest short-term population outflow tied directly to immigration and enforcement in modern U.S. history. You can't argue that. This is the spark. Everything else we're about to discuss, crime, housing, rents, affordability, flows downstream from this very moment. So here's the key point, guys. The border narrative, it depended on these numbers never being acknowledged, because once you admit millions left, you're forced to ask, what changed after they did? Now, let's talk about what we were warned would happen, okay? We need to rewind just a little bit. During the Joe Biden era, media outlets, NGOs, and government officials, they all repeated the same message. Let me know if you guys remember this. If enforcement returned, the country would spiral. Remember that? Labor shortages, rising crime, economic damage, humanitarian collapse. That was the prediction. But once deportations accelerated in late 2025 under Donald J. Trump, something rather uncomfortable happened. The chaos never arrived. There was no mass unrest. There was no economic freefall, no nationwide emergency. In fact, markets are hitting record highs as we record this video here. Instead, what quietly began to crack was the narrative itself, because the real world outcomes didn't match the warnings. And when predictions fail this completely, the problem isn't the data. It's the story that was built around it. This is the moment the frame starts collapsing, because once enforcement proves functional, every downstream assumption about crime, housing, and affordability has to be re-examined. That's exactly where this goes next. So now this is really where the story becomes impossible to dismiss. Look, as 2025 wrapped up, nationwide crime data quietly showed something extraordinary. Murders and violent crime dropped sharply across the United States, not marginally, not statistically fuzzy, a very clear, measurable decline, and it happened fast. But what changed? Well, the timing lines up directly with the removals carried out under Donald J. Trump, driven by enforcement priorities from the Department of Homeland Security. And so as criminal illegal aliens were removed, repeat offenders disappeared from neighborhoods that they had cycled through for years. But notice something important. This data didn't lead cable news panels. There were no victory laps. There were no primetime breakdowns explaining why violent crime suddenly fell. Instead, the numbers just surfaced quietly, buried in reports and glossed over in headlines, pretty much treated like an inconvenience. Because once you acknowledge the drop, you're forced to ask a very dangerous question. What role did enforcement actually play? And this exact pattern shows up everywhere else in people's lives too. Look, people love to say it's only $300, but if you're on a fixed income, $300 matters. And one viewer told me that she went in for a basic lab test. Her Medicare plan covered the appointment, great, but not the test itself. The bill, just over $300. There was no warning, there was no heads up, and once that bill wiped out her entire savings cushion that month, she didn't know what to do. And this is exactly how the system works, quietly buried in fine print, just like the crime data that we just talked about. If no one points it out, you don't see it until it hurts. This is exactly why I partner with Chapter, folks, and Chapter does things completely differently. They spot those uncovered costs before they turn into surprise bills. They review your Medicare coverage for free, line by line, and they show you exactly where your money's leaking out that you don't even know was missing. Man, you kind of have to call them up just to thank them just for that, right? So this is why so many people are already dialing the phone number at the bottom of your screen right here, 909-563-8279, or they're clicking the link in the description of this video for askchapter.org/Ron, not because they're confused, but because they don't want another year slipping by unnoticed with money falling out of their pockets. Now, here's why this moment rattled so many people. For years, critics insisted that immigration enforcement was going to increase the crime. They argued deportations would destabilize communities, break trust, and make neighborhoods more dangerous. That was the theory. But reality showed a much simpler chain. In fact, when repeat offenders were removed, they don't commit crimes here anymore. When violent offenders are no longer cycling through the same streets, incidence drops. Imagine that. Wow. Fewer people committing violent acts equals fewer violent acts. It's not that complicated. It's just basic arithmetic. And yet this outcome was labeled impossible because admitting it would collapse the entire policy framework that was built during the Joe Biden years. So instead of confronting the result, critics avoided it. This is why this crime drop wasn't supposed to happen. Not because it couldn't happen, but because it wasn't allowed to fit the narrative. And just when that reality was sinking in, another institution broke ranks. Now, this is the moment that no one expected, not even the people defending the old narrative, because suddenly the Department of Housing and Urban Development, you may have heard of them, HUD, they just stepped in and confirmed what Americans were told not to believe. HUD Secretary Scott Turner openly acknowledges that unchecked illegal immigration distorted housing demand and priced Americans out of the market. That's not a commentator. That is not a YouTuber. That is a federal agency responsible for housing policy saying the quiet part out loud. Now, for years, skyrocketing prices were blamed on everything except demand pressure from mass immigration. Supply chains, greedy landlords, corporate buyers, anything but population inflows. And now HUD admits the demand side mattered a lot. And so this wasn't framed as ideology, it was framed as data. And once HUD breaks script, the entire housing debate shifts from moral arguments to basic math. That admission alone collapses years of talking points. And so once you accept HUD's admission, the next realization hits hard. The housing crisis wasn't organic. During the Joe Biden years, housing demand surged not because Americans suddenly formed millions of new households. It formed because tens of millions of new residents entered the country in a compressed time window. And, well, they had to have somewhere to live. And so that means rentals filled instantly, bidding wars exploded, first-time home buyers were pushed out by sheer demand pressure. Prices rose not because homes became better, but because scarcity was manufactured. And so here's the part that nobody wanted to say out loud. This demand didn't come with matching supply. It can't build fast enough to absorb population shocks of that magnitude. And so once removals accelerated under Donald J. Trump, that artificial pressure began easing, and the market suddenly responded almost immediately, which kind of leads directly to the states that made it worse. And nowhere was this distortion more severe than in the sanctuary states. In California, Oregon, and Washington, state-level policies didn't just tolerate illegal immigration. They actively subsidized housing demand that was tied to it. Taxpayer-funded rental assistance, first-time homebuyer programs extended regardless of legal status, protections that insulated demand while supply stayed fixed. Well, the result was predictable. Americans competing against policy-backed demand that they never could outbid. And these states didn't just experience higher prices, they locked them in. Scarcity became structural. Young families were forced out. Renters stayed trapped. Home ownership slipped further and further out of reach. And when federal enforcement resumed under Donald J. Trump, these states, they felt the shift first. because they had the most artificial pressure to unwind. That's when something unexpected started to show up in the data. Now here is the moment that stunned everyone. As removals accelerated and demand pressure eased, housing and rental prices began cooling nationwide, not just in the red states, across the board. Now for years, Americans were told that this couldn't happen without a crash, that prices were sticky, that once affordability was gone, it was gone forever. And yet rents eased, listings sat longer, sellers adjusted their expectations, not because of a recession, not because of mass unemployment, but because the artificial demand spike was finally reversing. This is the psychological shock that no one was prepared for. People had been conditioned to believe that cheaper housing was impossible, that wanting affordability was unrealistic, and suddenly the market started correcting without collapsing. That's when the story stops being about immigration alone and it starts being about who benefits from telling Americans nothing can ever get better, because what came next made that question unavoidable. So this is pretty much where the narrative truly falls apart, because what Americans are seeing right now is something that they were told could never happen at the same time: safer streets and cheaper homes. Now, historically, when crime drops, housing prices rise. When housing prices fall, it's usually tied to economic pain. That's the old rule book. But under Donald J. Trump, that rule book stopped working. Crime declined as criminal illegal aliens were removed. Housing pressure eased as artificial demand fell. Two outcomes moving in the same positive direction without a recession, without mass layoffs, and without government bailouts. Now, I want you to ask yourself a question. If this combination was impossible, why is it happening now? And maybe the better question is this: who benefited from convincing Americans that it couldn't happen? Because once people realize safety and affordability can coexist, it shatters the excuse for permanent crisis politics. That is when silence becomes very telling. I want you to notice how quiet things got. Despite major shifts in crime data and housing trends, coverage remained muted. No countdown graphics, no wall-to-wall panels, no deep dives connecting cause and effect. Some outlets like Fox News, they began acknowledging the changes, but broadly, the response was restraint, even avoidance. Look, because explaining why crime fell and why housing cooled, that would require admitting something uncomfortable, that enforcement actually did work. And that would mean revisiting years of messaging during the Joe Biden era that framed enforcement as reckless and ineffective. Silence, in this case, isn't neutral. It's not neutrality, it's containment. Because once people connect the dots themselves, the old narrative can't be reassembled. And that brings us to the final piece: the chain reaction no one modeled. Here's the part no one bothered to model, or maybe didn't want to. Border enforcement didn't just affect the border, it set off a chain reaction. When illegal immigration slowed and removals increased, repeat offenders disappeared from communities. That helped to drive crime down. As crime fell, neighborhoods stabilized, and at the same time, housing demand, which had been artificially inflated, began easing. That relieved pressure on rents and prices, and once affordability improved, confidence returned. This wasn't one policy creating one outcome, it was a system correcting itself. Young Americans began re-entering the housing market. Families delayed for years finally saw an opening. The sense of permanent decline, that nothing ever gets better, started cracking. That's the real story here, folks. Not a headline, not a soundbite, but a cascading correction that only happens when incentives align with reality. And once that chain reaction starts, it's very hard to stop, which is exactly why this next phase matters more than anything else. And so now we've reached the moment of truth. As we enter 2026, these policies aren't theoretical anymore. They're operational. The border enforcement is in place. The removals already happened. The housing market has begun adjusting and crime data is in. The question now isn't whether the old narrative failed. It did. We know that. The question is whether it will be resurrected, because reversing course would require ignoring the data, dismissing lived experience, and pretending Americans didn't notice what changed when enforcement returned. That's why this moment matters. If these policies remain locked in, the effects compound: safer communities, more affordable housing, a public that no longer accepts being told improvement is impossible. And that's the final collapse of the narrative right there. Because once people see that reality can actually move in the right direction all at once, they stop settling for permanent crisis. And that's something absolutely no one expected. Like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.